Good evening and welcome to the Planning Commission meeting of Tuesday, May 28, 2024. I now call the meeting to order. If we'd all stand, we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance together. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great, thank you everyone. Anna, voice roll call, please.
Chair Arith,
Present.
Vice Chair Toller,
Here.
Commissioner Rojas,
Present.
Commissioner Zick,
Here.
Commissioner Andrade,
Here.
Commissioner Klepak,
Here.
Commissioner Martinez.
Present.
All right, thank you, Anna. I see no announcements or presentations this evening, which brings us to public comments. So this brings us to public comments that are not listed on tonight's agenda. So if you'd like to speak to any item that we're not hearing tonight, you're welcome to come to either podium and you'll have 3 minutes. So if anyone would like to come forward, you're welcome. All right, Anna, do we have anyone on Zoom or telephone? We have *9 or hand raise feature, please.
Caller ending in 613, you may provide your public comment.
Caller 613, welcome.
Yes, hi, good evening.
Good evening.
I'd like to raise some concerns that Vice Chair Toller mentioned at a previous council meeting. He mentioned that the public needs to get over their knee-jerk reaction to high-density projects being underparked and creating traffic. Those are our instincts. Knee-jerk reactions to basically terrible projects that are going to forever ruin the character, the quality, and what makes Costa Mesa Costa Mesa. The more I look at this council and the more I look at this planning commission, I realize that we have people that are hell-bent on destroying Costa Mesa. You know, if you don't like what Costa Mesa is, do us a favor, go live somewhere else. If you want it to be more bikeable, go live where it is more bikeable. Because, like, for example, what is happening in the city with bikeability, the best way I can say it, it's stupid. It's stupid and it's actually selfish. Because, for example, Planning Commissioner Martinez, I believe is his name, wants to ride his bike on West 19th Street. That is extremely selfish. Why don't you ride your bike on one street over? You know, 19th Street is where the freeway ends. And hardworking people at the end of their workday just want to get home. But because people want to make 19th Street a bike lane, take away a lane of traffic, so you feel ride one street over, on parallel road. You know, it's extremely frustrating. I recently passed out flyers in my neighborhood, over 450 flyers. I did not meet a person who is everyday person that likes what was done in 19th Street. The only people that like it are sitting on the council, sitting on the planning commission, or members of the Costa Mesa Alliance for Better Streets. You guys, this is an election year. And I'm going to tell you, this stuff is going to blow up in your face. It's going to destroy a bunch of political careers which need to be destroyed. But you're ruining our city. Stop pushing for projects that are underparked. Stop pushing for projects that create traffic. Stop ruining our city with bike lanes.
All right, thank you, sir. Anna, anyone else?
No, there's not, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you very much. Go ahead and close public comments and go to Planning Commissioner comments, starting with Commissioner Martinez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to quickly note that this month, May, is Bike Month, and I have been actively participating in that this entire month. Every day, I've taken my bike out and done a random thing and started posting it on social media. And I think it's a great way to get around and relax, enjoy the breeze through my hair. If you can, get out and enjoy the summer weather that's upcoming. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Right, thank you. I know I've certainly seen your Instagram posts, and you're biking everywhere, Commissioner Martinez. It's really impressive. Commissioner Klepak.
Nothing for me, thanks.
All right, Commissioner Rojas, anything tonight?
Normally I had no comments, but I just wanted to thank everybody for being present tonight. And I really appreciate you guys being involved because as you can hear on the call, there's sometimes things that are a little bit, double-sided and whatnot. And it's important for members of the community to be present so that your voices can be heard. So thank you all for being here. And that's it for me.
All right, thank you, sir. Commissioner Zick?
I also wanted to welcome everyone that's here. This is the most number of people who've been to any of the meetings that I've ever attended. So we'll try to give you a lot to think about and keep you here as long as we can.
Thank you, Commissioner Zick. Commissioner Andrade?
I'll echo the same comments. It's great to see the community engage in what's going on in their city and being invested in investing your time, your free time, to coming out and making your voice heard. And then secondly, just a general shout out to city staff in organizing some great community events about upcoming upgrades to local parks. I had the honor to hang out with Mr. Yang on some off hours at the skate park, at Ketchum Libel, Shalimar. So really great to be able to get out there and connect with the community and really hear about how you want to see your parks improve and develop and get to be an active participant in that. So just appreciation for the Costa Mesa Public Works Department that's lining that up, and then also for the rec team in the city. I know that my family is very excited for all the great programming coming up this summer. So since we have you all here, make sure you guys follow the city's social media sites, either CM Recreation or just Costa Mesa. There's always great updates on great things that are happening right here in our city. That's all.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Andrade. Vice Chair Toller.
All right. I have a quick presentation to share since I have a captive audience. So as Commissioner Martinez said, tonight or this month we're concluding Bike Month. May every year is Bike Month, and that has a lot to do with what I'm going to talk about tonight. This is going to be kind of quick, but I called this Principles to Guide the Future of Costa Mesa, and I know we already have a general plan. Everything's just in my humble opinion, and I think this is really in the spirit of that general plan. It's a little more clarified and specific. And we're the Planning Commission, so we deal with the built environment, right? This is really about the physical future of Costa Mesa, our streets and our land uses. And I really like this line that's from the Charter of the New Urbanism. It says, we recognize that physical solutions by themselves will not solve social and economic problems, but neither can economic vitality, community stability, and environmental health be sustained without a coherent and supportive physical framework. So what I want to go over, I have like 5 quick points to make. It's about what a coherent and supportive physical framework is for the health of our city. So point 1, we're in the middle of what Strong Towns calls the suburban experiment. And so the suburban experiment, we have cities that are set up differently than we had for centuries before. So land uses are separate. Everything is spread far out. You need a car to get everywhere. Low density, not a lot of people live near each other, things like that. We don't really have a blueprint of how to move forward with this sort of environment. The suburban experiment, the way we have our sprawling cities now, there's a lot of good that came with them. There's some bad, there's some inevitable. But the way forward, these are the organizations and books and resources that I think provide a real thoughtful, responsible way forward. So I would encourage you to check any of these out. Second point, there aren't too many people, there are too many cars. So we deal with this at Planning Commission a lot. Anytime there's a new project, any sort of construction, new homes, it's commercial, it could be a new business, and people are going to be upset. And if you press them what they're upset about, what they're fearful about, they might say that there's too many people, it's too crowded. But if you keep pressing them, you figure it out. It's not more people. There's no throngs of people anywhere in the city. There's throngs of cars, right? There's too many cars. Lewis Mumford, among many others, warned us about this throughout the 20th century. He said, once wheeled traffic is treated as the chief concern of planning, there will never be enough space to keep it from becoming congested or a high enough residential density to provide enough taxes sufficient to cover its exorbitant demands. He continued, "The assumed right of the private motor car to go any place in the city and park anywhere is nothing less than a license to destroy the city." 3, there are trade-offs when it comes to cars in the city. So this picture kind of illustrates the trade-off when it comes to space. Cars take up a lot of space, whether they're moving or whether they're stopped. When you get to your destination, you can't hop off the bus or the train. You can't just park your bike somewhere. You got to find a spot for your car. And if they're moving, you have the speed problem, so they don't share space very well. That space that's allocated to cars is always going to be for cars. It doesn't share well. Another example of trade-off is speed and safety. So nobody really needs this chart. We all kind of intuitively know it. When cars are going 30, 40 miles an hour, which is the standard speed limit around here, they don't mix well with people. It's dangerous. People don't want to be around them. And cities, in their nature, are all about proximity. That's why humans have been creating cities for thousands of years, because it's useful to be close to things and to other people. These facts of geometry and physics shouldn't be as controversial as they are. It's not a left or right thing. It's not a conspiracy or an ideology. And it's not to recognize and contend with these facts is not to be naive about the fact that, yeah, most of us drive and we often need to drive. And many people do and will continue to do so in the future. 4 out of 5, the city is our streets. When you think of a city, this is the public realm. So this is our neighbor. I don't think we have any streets this bad, but this is the inevitable result of decades of prioritizing the movement of cars over any other conceivable value that a city could have. So I don't need to describe this. I think we all know, but I'll articulate it. This is a dangerous environment, not just because of the cars and the speeds, even walking there at night. I don't think anybody would want to love one walking or just being there. It's dismal, it's dangerous, and it's expensive. This is expensive infrastructure. And this is a totally inverted version of the way we've been building city streets for hundreds of years. So this is a little over the top in the other direction, but beauty matters. Human scale matters. It's a convenient place to live. Kids can walk down there. It's inexpensive to maintain. Old people can get around without having to maneuver around traffic and cross busy streets. So obviously I'm not promoting something like we start imitating Europe in this way, but a start for Costa Mesa, just to bring it back to Costa Mesa, we should recognize that improvements, developments, buildings, they all have a civic duty to the street. The streets are our shared public realm. That's what the city is. And we need, as the Planning Commission, this needs to be policy at some point and turn into zoning codes where buildings respect the public realm, where we're creating the walls of the outdoor rooms that we all share. It doesn't matter if this is 1 story or 5 stories or it's commercial or residential or anything, but there's a big difference when developments that we're approving are taking care of the public realm. There's the design of the street and there's design of the edges, and we deal a lot with the edges. So, oh yeah, last one. Anyway, last point, I promise, real quick. Density, so what I'm doing is I'm trying to clear out a lot of misconceptions that I think are holding us back. This is another one. Density is not incompatible with open space. More people living here doesn't mean we're gonna lose trees, we're gonna lose greenery, we're gonna lose birds, we're gonna lose shades. This is a real project in the Netherlands where they're not so car crazy. But as you see, if you need to drive, if you wanna drive, if you're at the time in the life where a car makes sense, people still can get around. So you prioritize driving all the time, we end up with that bad picture of North Orange County that we were looking at before. But if you prioritize people and the public realm, we can have our cake and eat it too. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share tonight. And hopefully that will, I don't know, we got a lot of decisions coming up in the next few years and I'm trying to get ahead of the curve. So thank you for listening.
All right, thank you, Vice Chair Toller. It's interesting. I always enjoy your your presentations when they come up from time to time. It's always extremely informative. And it makes me think, before I get to my comments, is, how we occasionally get wrangled into the policy side. And, when we have those larger developments, and then we get to put our imprint on stuff. And it's always exciting when we can get more on the visioning side as part of our course of work. But thanks for sharing that. I really do. I just have a few updates. I had some really good meetings over the last couple weeks. I don't always share my public engagements, but I had 3 that I thought were really stellar. I was a speaker at the group Leadership Tomorrow, which basically takes interested people and high achievers who want a life of public service, and they try to compare them or match them up with people who are already in this line of work. So I served on a panel with Ken Henderson in Tustin and Laird Hayes of Newport, and had just a blast talking about what it means to be civically engaged and serve the community, which I'm sure for many of you it resonates about giving oneself and so forth. So I really enjoyed that, and I think it's a wonderful group to work with. I'll also say that just in the last couple weeks, bringing it right back to the Costa Mesa Planning Department, I had the great honor and privilege of sitting on one of our junior planners' thesis committees, one of her master's committee. Her name's Caitlin Curley, and she just got her master's in urban regional planning at Cal Poly, with the title of her dissertation or thesis called Goldilocks Shelters, a Suitability Analysis and Identification of Ideal Shelter Sites. So basically, she gave herself over to thinking through what are the best areas that you can locate future homeless shelters to shelter services or homeless services. And then she did this just brilliant in-depth analysis that her, the other doctors on her committee and I were just thrilled to approve. So I just wanted to say that publicly, that I was very proud of her and what she's been able to accomplish. And the fact that we have her on our team here as a planner is just exhilarating. So good job, Caitlin. I'll also say that a few days ago, I moderated a very interesting session that's more in my professional line of work outside of government at the U.S. Green Building Conference up in Los Angeles, where I was moderating a session centered on bringing together the entertainment industry, both film and TV and music and sports, and bringing those groups together to say what are the best practices that we can share across our industries and kind of consolidate those efforts and streamline them. So we had this robust discussion. It was fantastic. Got a lot of follow-up questions afterwards. So the next time you turn on Netflix or your favorite sports team or maybe even Taylor Swift, who knows, maybe you'll know that it's a little bit more sustainable next time in terms of energy use, carbon, and travel and so forth. So I think that's about it for me. So we'll go ahead and move things along. Thanks for listening to our updates. This brings us to our consent calendar. I see we have one consent calendar item tonight, and I'll note that all matters that are listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be acted upon in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless members of the Planning Commission staff or the public request specific items to be discussed and or removed from the consent calendar for discussion. Items removed from the consent calendar will be discussed and voted upon immediately following Planning Commission action on the remainder of the consent calendar. So Anna, if you'd please read the title of our consent calendar item this evening.
Consent calendar item number 1, minutes, May 13th, 2024, unofficial meeting minutes.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, any comments? All right, seeing none, may I have a motion? Motion made by Vice Chair Toller. What's your motion, Vice Chair?
I move to approve the minutes.
All right, seconded by me. Do you wish to speak?
No.
All right, neither do I. Any final comments, commissioners, on the minutes? All right, seeing none. Anna, roll call, please.
That motion carries 7-0.
All right, thank you. This brings us to our public hearing. We have one public hearing item tonight, and Anna, if you'd please read the title for public hearing item number 1.
Public hearing item number 1, planning application PA 22-39 for a variance to exceed the maximum permitted height and development review PDVR-23-0004 to construct a new church and new Sunday school buildings at 234 Fisher Avenue. Please note we have not received public comments on this item. This is a call for any ex parte communications.
All right, thank you. And I'll start to my right, Commissioner Rojas.
I have none.
Okay, Commissioner Zick.
I met on Friday with Father Paul, Tony, Bassam, Mike, the transportation team. On very short notice, Father Paul got his entire team together, and I appreciated that response. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Commissioner Andrade.
None.
All right, Commissioner Klepek.
None.
All right, Commissioner Martinez.
None.
And Vice Chair? No. And I have none to report either. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to our Mr. Yeager to present the item. Mr. Yeager.
Good evening, Chair and Commission. My name is Chris Yeager, Associate Planner here with the City of Costa Mesa. Tonight I'll be presenting the application for St. Monica's Coptic Church. They're proposing a variance to exceed the maximum height for 3 architectural features, including a steeple and 2 domes. And they also are proposing a development review for new buildings in the industrial park zone. The project site is located at 234 Fisher, and it is approximately 1.6 acre site. It is located on the north side of Fisher Avenue between Pullman and Red Hill Avenue. Site is located within a half mile of a bus stop for the 71 line, and it is also approximately 400 feet from a Class 2 bike lane on Red Hill. The project property has a general plan land use designation of industrial park. It's also a zoned industrial park. Pursuant to the municipal code, churches and other places of religious assembly are permitted in this zone, subject to compliance with the applicable development standards. So the existing site, it does include a development which has an approximately 21,000 square foot industrial building, which was constructed in 1968. There was an addition in 1978. And there is also a 4,400 square foot 2-story building in the rear, which was also constructed in 1978. Surface parking lot currently contains approximately 70 parking stalls. The project tonight, it is a phase project involving the removal of existing site improvements and the construction of a new 3-story 35,000 square foot church, a new 3-story 10,500 square foot Sunday school building, and a approximately 6,000 square foot children's play deck above the surface parking lot at the rear of the property. In addition, there's various changes to landscape, parking, and site features proposed. In terms of phasing, the project does start in the back of the property and move forward. Phase 1 involves the demolition of the 2-story office building and the construction of the 3-story 10,500 square foot religious Sunday school building at the northeast corner. Phase 2 involves the proposed play deck above the existing parking lot and then northwest corner of the property. Phase 3 involves the demolition of approximately 8,000 square foot warehouse area and portion of the office building and to construct a 3-story 16,600 square foot gymnasium multi-purpose building, which would include various other facilities. And finally, Phase 4 involves the demolition of the existing building that's being used by the Coptic Church and to construct a 2-story, 18,500 square foot worship building. The proposed floor plans for the main church building will include a worship hall, communal area, baptismal, chapel, gift shop, and breakout rooms. The first floor will also feature interior garden court with interior landscaping and large windows throughout. The second floor includes additional breakout rooms, meeting rooms, an open lounge, and a balcony above the worship area. The back half of the building, known as the multipurpose building, will include an open gym, which could also be used as a multipurpose room. There's a kitchen and a cafe located on the first floor. The second floor proposes to include a mezzanine above the gymnasium and additional meeting rooms and offices. The third floor is proposed to include additional meeting rooms and a partially covered outdoor roof deck. The Sunday school building on the right here includes various classrooms on each level and is connected to the play deck, which would be accessed off the second floor of the building. The project and church design is inspired by modern Mediterranean Byzantine architecture. The front facade of the worship hall features a central arch element under the proposed dome with a proposed steeple immediately to the left. The building windows on the facade are covered with a perforated metal panel system, which will provide depth and visual interest both on the exterior and the interior of the building. There's large custom doors proposed at the entrances, and natural materials are proposed throughout, including stone paneling, smooth stucco, dark bronze windows, doors, fascia, and trim. The right side elevation facing the parking lot features many of the same elements as the front elevation, including arches, natural materials, and large windows. The south elevation, the front elevation will also include the parking lot facing elevation will include 6 approximately 25-foot tall mosaic art niches. As required by the code and condition, any mosaics or murals visible from the public right-of-way would be reviewed by the Arts Committee. The variance request. So pursuant to the general plan, additional height may be permitted in the industrial park land use designation when it is compatible with adjacent developments and the proposed uses are consistent with other constraints, including the height limits and use restrictions from the John Wayne Airport influence area. There are numerous churches within Costa Mesa located in commercial, industrial, and residential zoning districts, and these churches exceed the maximum permitted height, with several maintaining greater heights than the proposed project today. The proposed variance for the architectural element, it is only for the steeple and the 2 domes. The rest of the building complies with the maximum height standards. The project also proposes new landscaping throughout. There's approximately 5,000 square feet of landscaping, including a combination of native and Mediterranean plants to complement the architecture of the project. Variety of native and drought-tolerant ground covers are proposed, and as shown on the landscape plan, the proposed landscaping would comply with the municipal code for landscaping requirements. Staff is proposing a variety of conditions on the project. In addition to the many standard conditions, staff is also recommending that a bike rack be provided, that no outdoor communication systems be installed without prior city approval, that the cafe only be open during normal church hours and not be open to the general public, that outdoor play equipment meets city standards, and that the mosaic and murals visible from the public right-of-way be reviewed by the Arts Commission. In order to approve the variance, there's a variety of findings that need to be made. The findings are outlined in the staff report, or the staff proposed findings are in the staff report. And with that, staff recommendation is that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution to find the project categorically exempt from CEQA and to approve the planning application and development review subject to the conditions of approval. With that, staff can make themselves available to questions, and the applicant team is here as well, and they have a very brief presentation prepared.
All right, great. Thank you, Mr. Yeager. Commissioners, do you have any questions of staff on this item? Commissioner Zick.
You anticipated me. Just one, Mr. Yeager. On page 7 of your staff report, and similar to your presentation, you indicated that it says, as conditioned, any exterior mosaics or murals will be reviewed by the Arts Commission prior to installation. What I like better than that wording is the actual wording on page 13 of the conditions of approval, where it is indicated that any mosaic, mural, or super graphic painted on the side of the building which is visible from a public right-of-way shall be reviewed by the Development Services Department and may be taken before the city's Art Commission for review if deemed necessary by the Economic and Development Services Director. I like that wording a whole lot better. So my question is, which is it? Is it may be taken before the city's Art Commission or will be taken before the city's Art Commission?
So the city practice with the Arts Commission has been evolving over the past year. So the commission itself has been evolving as well. The practice is that if there is any super graphic or mural which is facing or visible from the public right-of-way, then that would be reviewed by the Arts Commission. The intent of the condition is to verify which murals and super graphics are actually visible from the public right-of-way before they all go to the Arts Commission.
Okay. So I know you support us, and your staff report is pretty clear in describing the various findings that we must make in order to approve certain things, CUPs, variances, that sort of thing. My question is there specific criteria that the Arts Commission follows or would follow in reviewing and approving what would clearly be very specialized art by the St. Monica Church?
The arts coordinator wasn't available to make it tonight, but I can get that information and get it back to you. As far as my understanding is that the any murals or super graphics going to the Arts Commission, it is just reviewed for just to make sure that it's not going to cause controversy. So generally the Arts Commission is very supportive of art in the city. They like to see various artists, various types of art. So that has been the practice of the commission.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Zick, if I may, I did have a chance to speak with the arts coordinator, and at this time there is not an ordinance with Arts Commission findings or design standards or characteristics. However, they are working on that. So at this time, they're just, I wouldn't say free will, but they are using best practices with regards to that. There are other cities with similar arts ordinances that they'll be looking on with regards to adopting it. And if it makes its place within the zoning code, it'll make its place in front of you as a commission.
Any other questions, Commissioner? All right. Commissioner Rojas.
I do. It's not so much a question, more of a request for a statement of clarity for the record. I understand that, but I wanted to be 100% clear that we're going, even with the improvements here, and even though we're modifying the current floor plan, that we're going from 70 parking stalls available to 90. Is that correct?
Correct. Under the current proposal, 90 parking stalls would be required for the project.
Including the new trash enclosure and the new planters that are proposed, correct?
Correct.
That's it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Rojas. Anyone else? Commissioner Martinez?
I will keep going on the Arts Commission point. First, I wanted to ask if stained glass would be included with this proposal. Because I saw in, I don't know, slide 8 that there might be some of that. Would that also have to be reviewed by the commission, Arts Commission?
So the Arts Commission reviews murals and super graphics, which the zoning code does define in its sign section. Based on reviewing the section earlier today, it doesn't seem clear if they would be included. Let me find that definition for you. All right, so mural or super graphic is a large image, picture, or design painted on or affixed to the exterior of a building or structure. So, it doesn't seem like it would apply, but it is art in its own, and the Arts Commission loves seeing what's going on. So, even if it's not being reviewed by them, they would definitely enjoy seeing what's being proposed.
Okay. And how do we make the determination that it can be seen from the public right of way?
Staff will work with the applicant team to provide visibility studies.
Okay. Let's see. Next, I want to ask about the bike rack and if staff has a process, a procedure for how the bike rack would be located since it's not on the site plan.
So there's no direct procedure. However, the best practice is to provide the bike racks as close to the front door as possible. And in reviewing the final site plan with the building permit, staff will be working with the applicant to accomplish that.
Cool. As long as it's not like in the back by a trash enclosure or something, that'd be great. Let's see. Then sidewalks are also not on the site plan. So I wanted to ask what the current sidewalk standards, regulations are. Is it best practice to put a parkway next to it? Is it just going to be right next to the curb? What's the standard practice?
Sure. So the grading plan does include proposed sidewalk. So some of the plans are prepared on their own. For instance, the landscape plan, it purely just looks at the landscaping on site, not necessarily off site. So the grading plan does propose the sidewalk, but I will defer to Mr. Yang, the city engineer, in regards to the specifics.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Yeager. So Commissioner Martinez, with respect to the sidewalk, typically the sidewalk which is in the public right-of-ways is placed in the parkway. Per ADA standards, our standard is 4-foot width of the sidewalk, 4-inch thickness and 2% slope. So in terms of the actual orientation of the sidewalk, we'll work with the applicant in terms of where the situation in terms of with respect to the landscaping, and we'll cooperate in terms of collaborating how that can be situated within the public right of way.
All right, great. And then how would pedestrians using that sidewalk then access the site?
So as proposed, the project does include vehicle gates at all entrances. So pedestrian would just have to enter the site via an open vehicle gate during normal church hours.
Okay. And then my last question is regarding the cafe. I don't know, one of the reports or maybe the conditions of approval says that any change in cafe operations has to come back to us as the planning commission. Does it have to come back to us? Can it stay at staff level just so that we don't have like a conditional use permit just on this cafe?
Let me find that condition real fast. So the condition reads that the cafe shall be limited to the type of operations described in the staff report. Any change to the operational characteristics, including but not limited to hours of operation, sale of alcoholic beverages, or provisions of entertainment or signage will require approval of an amendment to the conditional use permit, subject to planning commission approval. It seems like we could, if you wish to have that condition modified to include staff review, that could be easily accomplished.
All right, those are my questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Martinez. Anyone else? Commissioner Andrade?
Yeah, piggybacking on the landscaping portion, it looks like in the staff report, page 8, there's an outline of the tree count that exceeds the proposed, the requirement of just about 6. Is there, and so again, just matching along with kind of the city's larger vision of being tree city, a walkable city to keep our streets cooler, is there an opportunity with such a large space that we're considering here, is there an opportunity to, take that to the next level and increasing the tree coverage? There's an outline here, 70% of the landscape area would just be ground cover and some artificial turf, about 50% of the yard. And again, kind of piggybacking what Commissioner Toller shared, turf actually creates even greater heat in pedestrian ways. So any opportunities to kind of expand on that to make it more, pedestrian friendly and walkable?
So yes, Commissioner Andrade. So as I've mentioned to Commissioner Martinez, we can look at all the aspects and what kind of vegetation that would be more appropriate in the public right of way. That is both sustainable and also environmental. We have on staff our city arborist, and also in addition to we have other staff in our landscaping who can also bring some insights as to this. So that being said, we can just look further into that and maybe make suggestions to the applicant in terms of what types of vegetation can be planted in that area.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, because I mean, I love the highlight on drought tolerant, but the rendering here on one of the pictures is like massive palm trees, and I don't know that those are drought tolerant. So, and then I see that there, and I don't know, I can't find it on the mapping on the outlines here, but there's some sort of like waterway or water structure on the sidewalk. Did I see that correctly in one of the presentations?
So it is on the landscape plan. They are proposing a water feature in the front landscaping. It will be basically a fountain, just adding to the architecture. And just to kind of further the comments about landscaping, the municipal code requires 1 tree per every 200 square feet of landscaping. So we would want to work with the applicant team before requiring any other trees, just because if they get too crowded, it becomes health issues for the trees themselves. And then in terms of the water feature, it will be reviewed for compliance for visibility triangle and adherence with the building permit plan check.
Yeah, and safety, right? Because it's, based off what we shared for, it sounds like pedestrians are not really going to be able to access this through the sidewalks, only through cars, right? Is that correct? There's basically no sidewalks. Everything drives up to the street.
Yeah, pedestrians would have to access the site through the vehicle gates, yes.
Through the vehicle gates.
One next thing, Commissioner Andrade, the water feature is on private property as well.
I'm sorry?
The water feature is on private property. It's just behind the property line.
Got it. Awesome. Thank you for clarifying that. That's definitely helpful. Right.
All right, thank you. And I think on the heels of your comment, Commissioner Andrade, I'll draw everyone's attention to the bottom of page 8 in the staff agenda, table 2 for the landscape summary, where the tree count as proposed versus what's required is approximately 25% more than the requirement, and shrub count is about 100% more than what's required as well, though the ground cover meets it dead on at 3,570 square feet. Just wanted to make note of that. Anyone else? Commissioner Klepak?
No, I did. I answered it.
Okay, great. I do have a couple questions on the heels of some very good questions from my colleagues. If we could, Mr. Yeager, if we could take your presentation and go back to slide number 5. At the top, you'll see box number 7. Is that a proposed prayer area?
So box number 7 is pointing to the water features.
Okay.
There's a small water feature in the prayer garden, and then also you can see the 7 pointing to the water feature in front.
Okay. I just wanted to see if there was any potential conflict with the SoCal Edison easement, because it seems to be running through that section on the back of the property, or on the side of the property there.
The project has been reviewed with the easements through the Public Works Department. We'll continue to review.
Okay, great.
To ensure that there's no issues.
Great. If we can go to slide 10, we'll see the proposed landscaping. I noticed, I was very happy to see medjool date palms there, because dates are pretty much one of my favorite things to eat, as I'm sure many in the crowd too, from the sound of it. But I was curious to know if anyone knew what the arborist's thoughts were on this, seeing as how it is technically a fruit. Does it conflict with the pest management plan that we have for the city to have that kind of tree on site?
I'll defer that to Mr. Yang.
So, Chairman Arith, in terms of the species trees, I will probably have to talk to our city arborist
Okay.
So I'll take it back to our city arborist and we'll get back to you on that.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that's all for me for now. We might come, be inspired with more questions later. But thank you, Mr. Yeager. Thank you, Mr. Yang. And Director Dropkin, thanks for chiming in. Commissioners, any further questions before we move along? We can always revisit this. All right. I will now open the public hearing and ask the applicant or the applicant's representative to come forward. So whoever is here. And if you would, sir, please let us know 3 things. Your name, have you read the staff report and the conditions of approval, and do you agree to those conditions as proposed?
Sure. My name is Tony Torres. I'm the project architect. I have read the staff report, and I do agree with all of the conditions.
All right, great. Well, floor is yours if you'd like to make a presentation.
The presentation was only if there were going to be questions, really. So it sounds like most of the questions were asked and answered by the staff. We just want to say thank you to the staff, and particularly Chris, for getting us to this this finish line, and just want to thank the commission for having us on the agenda tonight. We're here for questions if you have them.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that sometimes we have staff-driven questions and then applicant-driven questions. So colleagues, any questions of the applicant? Yeah, Commissioner Martinez.
Thank you. So first, I wanted to ask, when are the church's operating hours, since that's when the gates, it says, are going to remain open?
Sure. The church's operating hours in terms of religious services is Sunday mornings. So it's they go for a couple of hours, but if you could remind me, Father Paul, it's up until about 8 to 11. Yes.
So when will the gates remain open? Is it just Sundays 8 to 11, or?
No, they'll also remain open during the week because they do have small services during the weekday mornings.
Great. Then there's the cafe.
Yes.
That's there. Is that like a retail cafe or is that basically like a kitchenette for?
It's a cafe for the congregation to have events around. So it'll be serving coffee just to the congregants or anyone that might be using the multipurpose building. But it's not open to the public.
Yes. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to kind of ask a direct question.
Sure.
So the 70 parking stalls that are currently at the church,
Yes.
do they fill up normally, like during weekend services? Or like at any time are they full?
Yeah, so this church is a smaller congregation. There's 270 seats that are going to be proposed. So the amount of parking spaces actually meets the city code for what's required. This church isn't like other churches where it only has one Sunday service. So you don't have multiple services where some people are trying to come in while some people are trying to leave. So in that sense, everyone that's there is there just for that one service, and then they leave shortly afterwards. So we expect that it should be filled up, yes.
Okay. I think the way I'm trying to ask this question is, do you expect, would you have designed this church with 90 parking stalls if you had the opportunity to go lower? Because I see this play deck being elevated above a bunch of parking stalls, and I'm wondering if you would have taken that, if you would have had to design it that way if you didn't have to include 90 parking stalls. So my question is, would you have gone for less parking if given the opportunity?
No, we feel like that the parking is going to meet what the congregation needs.
Okay. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Martinez. Anyone else? All right, seeing none. Commissioner Andrade.
So would love to learn more about the churches or efforts on just community engagement. Sounds like there's some schools here. Is that, what's that like? Is it open to the public? You also mentioned a multi-purpose room that may be available. Is that like available to the community? Or, just what is your community engagement strategy?
Sure. I'll answer what I can architecturally. Otherwise, I'll have Father Paul come up and talk about the actual programming of it. But yes, the idea is that multi-purpose gymnasium would be open to the public. It is a resource, and this is a church, and they want to be open to the community.
anything further on the school? Like, who is it, what are the ultimate goals on the school, how is it serving the community?
Yeah, this is just religious education school, so these classes serve the youth of the congregation. So the religious education building will serve the youth up until, I believe, up until teen years. And then teens, 13 and up will be using classrooms throughout the building. So it's meant primarily for religious education, but these rooms can also be dual purposed. So they can use them for counseling rooms. They can open it up to the public on evenings. They're not just for religious education. They can be used for other purposes as well.
Great. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Right. Thank you, Commissioner. Anyone else? All right. Seeing none. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before we move on to public comments, if the crowd would just get engaged for a second, by a show of hands, how many of you would like to make public comment this evening on this item? If you could just raise your hand. Oh, wow. Okay. I'm so glad you're here, though, even if you're not. All right. I appreciate that. Thank you. 0 hands. Was there one? Okay, 1 hand. All right. So if you would now like to make public comment and you'd like to speak to this item, you're welcome to approach either side of the podiums over here, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. And at the 1 minute mark, we definitely need 1 hand to come up. At the 1 minute mark, you'll hear a little chime, and at 3 minutes, the mic will just shut off. So we'll start with you, sir. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for this opportunity. Me and my wife actually attend the church. We've been going there for almost a year and a half, and we have 3 boys. We really enjoy going to the church, and it's a great place to meet other people, pray and get to know the community. We come from a neighboring city. We live in Huntington Beach, and we make it all the way every Sunday and Saturday night to the church to, as I said, pray and serve God. So I really kind of hope that you would consider this, and thank you for your time.
Right. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Bassem Barsoum. I'm one of the engineering committee members of the church, and I'm here just to thank the city staff for the amount of effort they've been working with us, with the host of consultants. You see an army of consultants sitting in the front row here. And I do want to thank also the commissioner staff, specifically Mr. Jean. This is a monumental visit that he did on Friday, and I really want to applaud him, want him to be the model across all the cities to do the exact same thing when something comes as an application that's of a significant to the people that resides in Costa Mesa. Like you see the multitude of support here. He didn't shy to just call in, and I want to show up, I want to come in, want to understand more and get all the questions answered. So really I want to applaud them, and along with the rest of the team as well, for just asking the right question. These are the same questions we tend to ask to our consultant. We want to make sure that it's a monumental project for the city of Costa Mesa and for each one of us. So with that, that's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Anyone else in chambers wish to speak to this? You're welcome to come up. We'd love to hear from you. Anyone else? Yeah, come on down. Win a prize. Yes, ma'am. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Nuvi. Actually, I have 4 boys in this church, plus myself and my husband. Actually, I want to add something about your question, Mr. Chairman, about the services for the church to engage with the community. Actually, we have too many services we do to the community. Actually, we do have services with homeless. We do serve the homeless people in the around us in the community. Actually, we do help to educate our children, like to raise them to be good citizens, so they can to be good citizens in this country. I mean, most of us immigrants from Egypt, of course. So we try to make them involved in the country to be good citizens. So yeah, I believe this is most important thing here. So thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comment. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
This is Father Paul Mikhail. It's a great honor to see everyone here and the level of involvement. And I want to thank all the city members. We gave them a hard time. Kept nagging for 2 years. We appreciate every single one, and all the consultants and all the amazing number of congregants. Returning back to the point of serving the community in the vision of St. Monica, that this is not a closed-up church. We are reaching out. Even there is one of the ministry's ideas of community counseling center, being a pastor and having my MFT degree, with the need of what's going on with the mental health. We have also part of the vision of utilizing this beautiful place to serve the community with very, very minimal amount of fees, just to reach out to those who are troubled, those who are underserved in any way or shape or form. So thank you, everyone, and thank you for all those who are here. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Father. All right. Yes. Welcome.
Hi, I'm a senior in high school, so I don't know if this means a lot, but I just know that, as a city council, you put a lot of emphasis on community, and I just think that, being part of the youth at this church, this is our biggest means of community. We can go to school, we can go out with our friends, and our church really brings us all together. If you look in the crowd right now, you'll see people who are 4, all the way up to adults, all the way up to grandparents. This church means a lot to every single one of us, even those of us who are on the younger side. You know, we come to church every weekend, and it brings us all together in a way that no other place does. So please consider us.
All right, thank you. Great job, by the way. I always love when, the high schoolers and middle schoolers come up and make comments. You did great job. All right, anyone else? Yes, ma'am. One at a time. Okay, so if anyone else, are we going to do this all night? So if anyone else would like to come up and make comment, you're welcome to come just line up on either side, and we'll be happy to hear what you have to say. But if it comes one at a time, we'll still take you. Yes, ma'am.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Cindy Irgis, and that was my husband that came up earlier. So as he said, we are newer to this church, and when we first came to OC, we actually tried out different churches. But when we came to this church, this is where we felt like home. This is where people actually came up to us and welcomed us. Abuna even came up to my kids and asked, "Do you have your tonias? Do you want to be deacons?" And that just warmed my heart. He didn't even know us. He never saw us, and he welcomed us as if we were there forever. So we are really happy that we are here, and we love to see the church grow. And you can see the congregation is more than loving and accepting to everyone who comes in. And we can just see so much more of that as we continue to grow our community. Well, please consider us. Thank you so much for all your time.
All right, thank you. All right, yes, sir.
First of all, I want to say thank you for having us, and thank you all for showing support to our project that we have going on. As a young man and a young adult, this means a lot to me because this is going to be the church that I'll raise my family in. My sister will raise her family with her husband in this church, and the community aspect is, like she said, it's something that we all grow up in, right? We all hang out with each other. We're all family. We bring in other people for volleyball tournaments, basketball tournaments, and all these different events that we host inside of the church. So it doesn't just benefit us. It benefits everybody who is around us in our lives, extended family and extended friends. We bring them in. We host a yearly festival where we serve food and games and do all these things, right? Everybody's welcome to come in and join that. So it's not just for us. We try to do what we can to serve everybody around us and bring other people to church and to get closer to God and get closer to each other. So that's kind of where this has a special place in my heart for me, because, I mean, everybody that goes to my church is my best friend, right? So thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. All right. Going once, going twice. Okay. We'll go ahead and move on to Zoom or telephone. Do we have anyone on Zoom? And if you're on Zoom and you'd like to speak, please use the raised hand option, or if you're on telephone, you can hit *9. Anna?
No, there's not, Mr. Chairman.
All right. How about telephone?
No, there's not.
All right. Great. I'll go ahead and close the public comment portion of the public hearing. And commissioners, do you have any further questions for the applicant? All right, seeing none. Yeah, Commissioner Andrade.
Was there an opportunity to do outreach to like the neighboring community, like getting feedback on how this wonderful construction is going to, you know, how do they receive the growth and development here?
Again, this is Bassem from the engineering committee of the church. Yes, the short answer is yes. We did reach out to the community. As a matter of fact, they have our phone numbers. Anytime they do have an event, an opportunity where they need our parking, they are in great relationship with each one of us. As a matter of fact, we are on their short hit list. Anytime they have an issue on their site themselves, they would call us. So this is above and beyond a great relationship that we are blessed and honored to be among such a great neighborhood too as well. So this is between Ravian, all the neighborhood around us too as well. So thank you for the question.
Great, fantastic.
Commissioner Andrade, any further questions? Okay. All right, seeing none here. And if you'd like to come up again, if you have any final comments you'd like to make, we're just getting our steps in today. So no comments? There we go. Step, step, step.
I know you're dying for an extra public comment, but let me say this. Honestly, if it's not for each and every volunteer, I am here as a volunteer. You know, I have another job, manage other things, working for the government as well, but there is a committee of all volunteer, and along with those volunteers, they put their time because they see the value on what is it for them and for their kids, for the not current generation, for generations to come. And they are here to make a difference. And I want to recognize everybody that's sitting in the first row, maybe with a few of the consultants, but I don't want to kind of pinpoint. Of course, the consultant, great asset for us, but if it wasn't for them, we're not able to have such a beautiful out-of-the-box thinking design that you have on your hand to be having the honor to vote on it next. So that's all I have, and thank you again for looking forward to your vote as well.
Great, thank you, sir. All right, colleagues, do you have any further questions for staff at this time? All right, seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing, and I'll go ahead and make a motion to find that the project is categorically exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA per CEQA Guidelines, Section 15332, Class 32, infill development, and approve planning application 22-39 to grant a variance for allowing an exception to the required maximum building height, the development review PDVR-23-0004 to allow a new church building, Sunday school building, and site improvements based on findings of fact and subject to the conditions of approval as written by staff. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Rojas. Thank you, Commissioner Rojas. I think this is a pretty straightforward project, and not just straightforward, but a beautiful project. And aside from that, I could get very used to all this clapping, by the way. So when I look at your site plan and I look through what you're imagining and what between the religious iconography, between what is represented, it's beautiful. It really captures what I imagine you're trying to go for. On top of that, it seems like as a congregation, you're involved in the community. You have a real interest in continuing to be involved in the community, which is something that we, Costa Mesa, City of Costa Mesa, definitely welcome, is that high level of involvement. So it's exciting to me to see you potentially getting this new building and then also becoming progressively more involved. Those are my opinions, but the fact of and findings that I can make are actually pretty easy. It conforms. We have reason to look at other variances that were provided in terms of the height that you're going for, and there's precedent there. So the fact is also there. Anyway, I'll move it along. Commissioner Rojas.
Well, thank you. To echo what Commissioner Zick said, when they came in and saw the room filled, we weren't sure, is this a high school project that's being filled here? I get it, it's a congregation. So appreciate you guys being here and being present, being involved, because the support is key. The presence is here. We always say that. Whenever we're dealing with any rulings here, it makes a difference. And I say this to you here as well as those watching, to have the public present here representing your position one way or the other. So I truly want to repeat what I said earlier, and I appreciate your presence. I echo what the chairman has said, that I have no problem with your design. I think it's beautiful. I think it's great. What you guys are doing here is phenomenal, but not just in the structural sense, but the community sense that you guys have developed. And I applaud you for that. And I wish you all the best. I will obviously be supporting your motion. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we all like applause. Thank you. Just speaking for all of us. Okay, yeah. Commissioner Zick, any thoughts on the motion?
I'll be supporting the motion. A lot of times when applicants come before us, we talk about how great they are, maybe what a great business they are, or in this case, what a great congregation you have. And that's all true. And I think you probably also know that that really is not a factor in a land use decision, which is what's in front of us. And I feel like I'd like to say a whole lot of wonderful and spiritual things to you, but I can't compete with Father Paul. So I won't attempt to do that. In terms of the land use, the thing that sold me on supporting this within the first few minutes of meeting the team was an understanding that the entirety of the structure that is above the height limit of 45 feet is ornamental in nature, it's spiritual in nature, it's not occupiable in any way. And to me, that's what makes this an easy one to approve. One of the findings that we have to make is that granting this deviation does not allow a use or density or intensity not in accordance with the general plan, and this doesn't. I won't talk about the idea of precedent because that's probably an area of dispute I have with the city. This isn't about precedent. You do it, so the guy next to you now wants to do it. Nowhere in here does it say in our municipal code, churches are allowed to go above 45 feet, but nobody else. So it doesn't say that. So just because another church has this does not create a precedent. I'm 100% supporting your project, your application. I was impressed with the entire team. I've watched some of your services on YouTube. I'm impressed with the nature of what you do. And my goodness, to get this many people to show up and support, you're doing something right.
Well said, Commissioner Zick. Commissioner Andrade, thoughts?
Yeah, again, as Commissioner Zick is saying, structurally regarding land use, this is pretty straightforward. It is such a beautiful addition to the structure and what the facade of what Costa Mesa is. So it's quite a beautiful, ornament or decoration to now what our city has available. And it's so great to see that not only is it physically appealing and inviting, but clearly has a congregation that is doing the same, that is open and inviting to all. I really appreciate one of the congregants and the pastor that shared a little bit about how you are engaging the community. That really is such a important piece of the work that you do. So thank you so much for taking that step into getting into the ground level on what our local community in the city of Costa Mesa needs. I mean, just at our last meeting, we looked at another church who, on I think maybe the quarter of a size of what you have here, is doing the most in supporting and lifting folks out of the streets, out of homelessness in our community. So the fact that you're also taking a step and making that accessible and maybe through mental health services is quite beautiful. So thank you for providing that additional service and return back to the community. So thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Andrade. Commissioner Martinez?
Sure. So my comments relate more to the process that had to happen in order to get here. So I think I heard right that this was 2 years in the making or something like that, which I hope that in the future we could hopefully do some of these things a bit faster. The height of the tower could be doubled and it still would not fall above FAA guidelines. So I don't know why our height limits are so low that we don't even have to talk to the FAA for this. We have an Arts Commission requirement, which we still have not fully fleshed out and developed. So I'm hopeful that we can get on that as soon as possible so that we can actually have a clear process for our applicants. And then we have to have certain types of floor area ratios for different average daily trip measurements. So this applicant had to go through a traffic study at different churches in order to see that the ADT there was low enough to do this. And I don't really get it. I would have just hoped that, because this looks like a great project, I would hope to visit it one day once it's built. And I'm supportive, but questioning everything that we had to get through in order to get here tonight. But thank you so much. Like I said, I hope to visit once it's open. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Martinez. Commissioner Klepak.
Yes, clearly a very beautiful project, and I think that is, after seeing all of you in this packed room, second to the beauty of your congregation and your community that you've built. I was out walking the site in the neighborhood over the weekend, and it's pretty desolate and vacant there on the weekend because there's a lot of businesses. I know there's cars there during the week, but this project will just add so much architectural interest to the area and just life and vitality, so I'll be supporting the motion as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Klepak. Vice Chair Toller.
All right. I don't have a lot of questions at these kind of hearings because like Commissioner Martinez, I feel like this should have been by right. So obviously it's a beautiful church. I think Orthodox churches are some of the most beautiful buildings in the world, and I think we're lucky in Costa Mesa to get one. I think we're here because of a height variance, ironically, but domes and steeples and bell towers are supposed to tower over all the other buildings, right? So it's kind of ironic, but anyway, I think it's an exciting time for your congregation, and I wish you the best.
Thank you, Vice Chair Toller. It looks like there's a 7-0 vote we're coming up to, but I do want to make a couple quick comments before we move it along in saying that, again, it was a real pleasure to read this item. It was very straightforward. So on the land use decision side, it was pretty easy for us. But then getting to learn more about your congregation and what you're aiming to do collectively is, like Commissioner Andrade said, very beautiful. It also piqued my interest in that I didn't know much about the cops. So I had to look it up. I spent actually a lot of time reading and watching videos, and I was thoroughly impressed. The fact that the Apostle Mark went into Alexandria in, 42 AD? Was it? Yeah. Well, That's I'm not a history professor, so you don't. But and then everything that transpired after that, from actually translating the canonizations of the different scriptures and so forth, it was, and the fact that having descended from the pharaohs, pretty much, right, or most, it seems, it was really quite impressive. So yeah, thank you for bringing this toward us for consideration. I'll also say too, if there is an interest in doing more homeless involvement in the city does have what's called the Network for Homeless Solutions. It's actually run by one of our employees here, Nate Robbins and John Began. And they're highly involved in helping coordinate a lot of different entities to help solve homelessness locally. So if that's of interest to you, I encourage you to reach out to Nate and ask your questions. Okay? All right, so with that said, Anna, let's go ahead and call the question.
That motion carries 7-0.
All right, that decision is final unless appealed to City Council within 7 days. Good luck.
My apologies. One thing we forgot to mention.
You're already approved.
No, you're not going home. We anticipate if it get approved, you get a small token of appreciation of something to eat at night. We had it personalized to each one of you, and Father Paul will be presenting it to each one of you. So if you don't mind, we'll bring it in very quickly, and we'll just hand it in 1 second, or like in less than a minute. It's by the door, 1 second.
Thank you. We'll wait.
So we added also a small brochure if you want to go a little bit in depth about the Coptic Church. Just very, very brief. It has some nice links as well, and some of the histories. So we're bringing one for everyone, and something sweet to end the day with.
Well, thank you very much. If you want to just hold on, we'll go ahead and close out the meeting, and then we'll chat about it after the meeting. I really appreciate it. That's very thoughtful. All right, so to wrap things up, I see there is no new business or old business, which brings us to departmental reports, starting with Public Services Report, Mr. Yang.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The only Public Works report I'd like to give is that the Public Works Department is continuing with the Adams Avenue street construction project between Royal Palm Drive to Santa Ana River. The first portion was done a couple of weeks back between Royal Palm Drive to Placentia Avenue, and the second half is being undertaken between Placentia Avenue to the Santa Ana River. So it's been 26 years since we've reconstructed the street. It's going on now, and we just want to impress upon everyone for their patience and to follow all the rules of the road during the project. Thank you. That's all from me, and defer back to the chair.
All right, thank you, Mr. Yang. And Development Services Report, Mr. Drapkin, Director Drapkin.
No comments tonight, Chair, and thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, sure thing. City Attorney, Mr. Preziosi, anything to report? Bless you.
No report this evening, Chair.
Okay, all right. So thank you for joining us. We will now adjourn.